Hello, today I will be presenting my case study and what I've learned on compensation and benefits. I have titled my case study Compensation and Benefits, Benefits Assigning a Pay Structure. First, I want to talk about what a job description is. These are the things according to the book and our case study that we learned today in regards that a job description needs to have a job title, which is the basic name for the position that you're going to have. A job summary, which is detailed information in regards to what is expected of you and what your tasks are going to be. The essential jobs task goes into further detail on specific requirements that you will be required to perform while on duty or while at work. The job work context includes information in regards to the background, the location where you're going to be at, perhaps, physical conditions or mental stability, things that are required from you or that you must have in order to perform well in this job position. Job relevant knowledge and skills is similar to the job work context, but with the difference that these are already required information that will be needed in order to succeed in the job position. All these subtitles in this job description are linked to ensure that you're able to perform the job accurately. Relevant knowledge and skills can include things such as education, knowledge in regards to mathematical problems. For example, in the case study where we saw a benefits manager. For job relevant knowledge and skills, they must require them to have some expertise in regards to benefits, laws, be able to work in a computer at all times and be able to physically withstand sitting down, constant communication, verbal communication between employees and vendors from the companies that you are assisting with, and also background knowledge on maybe local laws for the state requirements, things that the employer must satisfy legally to ensure that they're providing the right compensation and benefits for the employees. Compensational factors and specific weights. Here we learn that they use a grading scale in order to determine the education level that is required or the expertise level of education that is required for each position. We learn high school receives 1 point, associates 2, bachelor's 3, and so on. And then we also learned that points are calculated by multiplying the degrees by the weights. This gives, then at the end of the case study, we were required to add every specific point acquired in each category and add them together. This will help determine the salary for the compensation manager to determine what salary pay they need to be at. For my case study specifically, I found that most of these positions only required high school associates and bachelors. I did not calculate that any of them required a master's or graduate degree because master's and graduate degree, to my opinion, requires these positions to have further training other than the basics from university. I believe all these positions have room for them to learn job skills and tasks from the company specifically to that employer, and not necessarily a skill that requires hands-on specialty. For example, a welding job position or a medical degree position where it will require you to get some form of certification or a license from the state. So this is why most of my rankings were from 1 to 3 points. Next, in the case study, they asked us about outliers. We learned that outliers are extreme values within the data set. Specifically, this means that when you have a data set of collections, there are certain data numbers that are extremely different from what the smallest and largest are. For example, if you were to have a data set that had information in regards to numbers, let's say anywhere between 1 to 100, these outliers would most likely be numbers that would exceed the majority of the numbers. For example, it can go all the way from 120 would be an outlier. If you see your data in numbers of tens, for example, between 20 and 80, and you see 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60, these outliers would be numbers, for example, a 1, which would be very in distance in a data set in distance from what the other numbers are. And then we also were asked to describe in the outliers what would we do with them. It is in my best knowledge and from the book's advice is that deleting outliers make the data set more biased. It may lead to inaccurate conclusions and it may jeopardize the validity or the information and may change the numbers in the report or the analysis that you're trying to create. We also learned a little bit about what in the salaries, what the maximum is, what the minimum and the medium. The maximum pretty much was referring to the largest number in the data set. The minimum was the minimum salary found in the data set or in the information gathered. And the medium is mostly the number in the middle of the data set if you arrange this data set from the smallest unit to the largest unit. So the medium will most likely be the one at the 50th percentile or the middle part of the whole entire data collection. The mean of the data would be the average. And then lastly, the compensation and benefits are key components for company success, employee engagement, and turnover. The information that HR benefits and compensation managers do is not only to determine what ideal salary and position, but also calculate the salary range of this position. Specifically, when someone is brought in into an entry level, it's important to know how high the range of salary is able to this employee is able to reach within that organization. This is important regarding the skills and requirements and tasks that will be assigned to the employee. And then lastly, we learned that a compensation specialist will use salary surveys to help determine the market rate. This is something very important because it is where the data is collected in regards to similar positions in other corporations, in competitors, and also statewide or nationwide. And you want to be able to offer a competitive salary to acquire good potential employees and also limit and decrease turnover. Compensation and benefits has been very informative to me, and I hope this is very informative to you. Thank you.